Hello everyone, let's talk about art and film criticism. This presentation will take you on a journey through the world of a critical analysis, showing you how to look at movies and art pieces in a new and exciting ways. We will cover some key approaches and hopefully inspire you to become a more insightful viewer and observer.
Formalism approach. The formalism approach is a way of analyzing a film by examining its technical elements. So this includes lighting, cinematography, camera angles, tone, setting, characters, and message. It deliberately ignores sociological, cultural, linguistic, methodological, or historical context. The emphasis is on how the film is constructed, how the story is told rather than the story's meaning in a broader context. So here are the key characteristics. Focus on form, not content. Emphasis on visual and technical aspects. Analyze how elements work together to create meaning.
The formalism approach focuses on analyzing a film based on the structure and form. It looks at elements like lighting, camera angles, setting, tone, characters, mice, and scene. Importance of formalism approach. This approach is important because it helps us appreciate the artistic and technical choices filmmakers make and how these choices shape the way we experience the story. So to sum it up, the formalism approach focuses on the form and structure of a film, helping us see what these artistic elements work together to create meaning. Formalism approach suggested films. Ang Babae sa Septic Tank. This film creatively presents different filmmaking styles and narratives, making it an ideal example for formalist analysis. Life of Pi, known for its breathtaking visuals and symbolic use of color and imagery. This film is a perfect candidate.
Author approach. Author approach is the term author means from the author. This approach examines the film from the perspective of the director as the dominant figure influencing the film. Early filmmakers showed the world that a movie director could be an artist, but not every movie director. Because part of a author theory is knowing how to define author directors. Before author theory, directors were important, but the other factors were still more significant, like stars, studios, and producers. There are two suggested films. The first one is Jaws by Steven Spielberg, and the second is Star Wars by George Lucas.
As an unnamed value author criticism originated in French films criticism of the late 1940s and derived from the critical approach of Henri Bazin and Alexander Astra, whereas American critic Andrew Harris in 1962 called it author theory. Authoricism started as an unspoken idea among French critics in the 1940s, focusing on the director's personal vision in films. It was later named author theory by American critic Andrew Harris in 1962.
Next, we have the feminism approach. This approach examines how women are portrayed in films and how these portrayals reflect or challenge the gender roles in society. The feminist approach looks into the roles of women and how they are represented in a film. It highlights issues like inequality, stereotypes, objectification, and the power dynamics between genders. It also questions whether the film reinforces traditional gender roles or offers a more progressive view of women.
Feminism approach. According to feminist scholar Simlic 2016, the main goal of this approach is to understand cultural practices that represent and reproduce myths about women and femininity. For example, the film The Iron Lady shows that life of Margaret Thatcher the first female Prime Minister of the UK. A feminist analysis of this film would look how to her leadership, strength, and challenges are portrayed in a male-dominated political world.
We can also think of other films like Wonder Woman or Little Women. Though these films empower female characters or fall into typical stereotypes. So, in summary, the feminism approach helps us think critically about how women are shown in films, whether they are given a strong, complex role or are reduced to stereotypes. It helps us understand the broader messages about gender in society.
Sociological cultural approach. Sociological perspectives are based on traditions and cultures. This aspect of films consider the history, people, culture, and practices of a particular group. This approach is not concerned with the technicalities of the film, but rather with the analysis of identity, situation, and social context.
Here are the examples of sociological and cultural approach. Crazy Rich Asians. These films showcase the complexities of Asian culture, particular class, family expectation, and cultural heritage within a modern context. It challenges stereotype and offer a nuanced portrayal of Asian identity.
Black Panther. This film explores African identity, heritage, and the experience of the African diaspora. Wakanda, as a fictional advanced African nation, counters common stereotypes and allows for exploration for the times like power, colonization, and the self-determination. It's a powerful estimate on representation and empowerment.
The mythological approach in art and film criticism focuses on interpreting artworks in films through the lens of myths, symbols, archetypes, and timeless narrative that reflects shared human experiences. It draws heavily from comparative mythology, Jungian psychology, and anthropology, and helps explain why certain themes, images, and stories have lasting power across cultures. The mythological approach in art and films criticism examines how stories, character, and symbol in creative works reflect universal myths and archetypes that lie across cultures in history. This method looks beyond the surface to uncover deeper meanings rooted in a collective human experiences, such as a hero's journey, the battle between good and evil, or the cycle of death and rebirth.
Here are the key concepts of the mythological approach. The first one is archetypes. Archetypes are universal. Symbolic characters are patterns that appear across various cultures and myths. Think of the wise old mentor, the rebellious hero, or the evil villain. These are all archetypes. Second is the hero's journey. This is a common narrative structure where a hero goes on a quest, faces challenges, and ultimately transforms. Joseph Campbell's work popularized this concept. Third is symbolism. Recurring images or themes in stories carry deeper meaning. For instance, light often symbolizes good, while darkness represents evil. Water frequently represents rebirth. Fourth is ritual and transformation. Many stories follow a ritualistic structure. Initiation ceremonies, sacrifices, and rebirth are common examples. These rituals often lead to characters' transformation. Next one is cultural myth. Art and film can act as a modern ways to tell ancient myths or create entirely new ones that reflect current cultural values and belief.
Examples: film The Lion King follows the hero's journey, filled with archetypes like the wise mentor, Mufasa, Shadow, Scar, and symbols like the circle of life. Star Wars, one of the most analyzed mythic films, Lucas intentionally based it on Campbell's hero's journey arc. Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling, full of biblical archetypes and symbolic imagery representing creation, fall and redemption. Frida Kahlo's paintings, often interpreted using mythic and symbolic frameworks tied to suffering, rebirth, and feminine archetypes.
Marxism approach. This section introduces the fundamental philosophical and analytical tools of Marxism. Marx believed that material conditions and economic structures drive society's development, known as historical materialism. His method of analysis, dialectical materialism, explains change through contradictions within society. So there are key concepts. The first one is the historical materialism. Second one is dialectical materialism. And the third one is mode of production. The fourth one is base and superstructure. And the last one is ideology and false consciousness. So what does it mean? Marxism is a method for analyzing society based on the ideas of Karl Marx. It focuses on how economic conditions and material reality shape society and its development. This idea is called historical materialism. Marx argued that social change happens through contradictions and conflicts, especially between social classes like the rich and the working class. So his method of understanding just changes is called dialectical materialism.
Revolutionary Change and Future Society Summary. Marx predicted that growing worker dissatisfaction would lead to class consciousness and ultimate revolution. The goal is to move from capitalism to socialism and finally to communism, a classless, stateless, and exploitation-free society. Key concepts are revolution, class consciousness, socialism, and communism.
This section focuses on Marxist critique of capitalism and the social relationships it fosters. Capitalism divides society into two major classes, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Workers are exploited while capitalists extract surplus value, resulting in alienation. Key concepts are capitalism, bourgeoisie, and proletariat, class struggle, exploitation, and surplus value, alienation, and commodity fetishism. Marxist film theory provides a valuable framework for analyzing films by revealing the underlying social and political messages embedded within their narratives. By focusing on class struggle and power dynamics, it allows for a deeper understanding of how films reflect and shape our perceptions of society.
And that's all for today's look at film criticism. Thanks for watching and happy viewing!